the one thing we found out yesterday is that someone was at the crime scene. I only hope I can get some testimony from him that'll get to the heart of the matter. Mr. White? Good morning, Alan. Look, I'm afraid you may not like the result of today's trial. Nevertheless, don't tell me you're still thinking of going that route. Stone is innocent. He can't be found guilty. Take me instead. Alan, please try and get a hold of yourself. I believe in Stone with all my heart. So how dare you doubt him? Regardless of which one of them is found guilty today, it's going to be devastating for Alan, isn't it? We'll just have to do everything we can. That's the best we can do, you know? The trial's about to begin, Mr. White. Alright, let's go, Maya. Yeah. Back in session for the trial of Alan Wyatt. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Let's see now. Where were we? In yesterday's session, we found out about the Sprocket family's conspiracy to cover up the murder of Dumas Bloomsbury for second reception. Taking advantage of our collective shock, the defense as usual made a nonsensical claim. Namely that there was a third person present who struck the victim.
Objection!
Hey, don't try to make it sound like I made it all up. The defendant herself made a statement about the existence of a third person, and further investigation has only proven her statement to be true. I presume the defense intends to focus on proving the identity of this third person. Is that alright with you, Mr. Edgeworth? Indeed, Your Honor. In fact, I predicted that the defense will, most likely, attempt to name Mr. Sean Sprocket as the true culprit. How did you? The driver during the accident that killed Mr. Sprocket's sister was the victim. Therefore, Mr. Sprocket had a motive to murder Mr. Bloomsbury. That's what you plan to assert, is it not, Mr. Wright? We're not transparent. Come now, Mr. Wright. Do you really think the police wouldn't uncover this information? Congrats on getting it in one, Mr. Edgeworth. Own it, but you're wrong. Sean didn't do it. He's innocent. Miss Wyatt, please. He's innocent, I tell you. What is this, Mr. Wright? I thought your claim about the existence of a third person came from the defendant. It did. This is just a minor hiccup. Do not discuss your strategy for today of the defendant, Mr. White. Starting off on the wrong foot again, assisting cutting into my lifespan. It would appear that the defense is in disarray. Therefore, the best way to clear things up is to ask Mr. Sprocket himself what happened. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to call Sean Sprocket to the stand. What? Very well, bailiff. Please bring Mr. Sprocket to the witness stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Ow! There's something written on this paper airplane. Sean Sprocket, Managing Director of Sprocket Aviation. Mr. Sprocket, please give your answer in words, not paper airplanes. Now then, Mr. Sprocket, please tell that doubting lawyer that what really happened at the time of the crime. Well, Mr. Sprocket! Mr. Sprocket! Alright. You want me to talk about what happened in the crime record? In other words, after the first writing reception, when Ellen and I were in the reception hall, right? Not even the power of the court can stop him from marching to the beat of his own drum. I was stabbed by Dumas in the reception hall and I collapsed to the floor. The next thing I saw was Ellen and Dumas on the Vista deck. I knew Ellen was in danger, so I headed for the Vista deck. When I got there, Dumas was already... I didn't want to believe it, but it must have been Ellen. Nothing else makes sense. Wait just a minute here. You actually think Miss White killed the victim? That's right. Dumas was killed by Ellen. This is unbelievable. How can you suspect your bride, the woman you love?
Objection!
The truth can be cruel. Miss White, you must be very upset. Is there anything you'd wish to say? No, I can't believe this. Soren, I thought that at least you would believe in me. The best way now to show your love for your group is to admit your guilt and try to atone. Soren.
Hold it!
Mr. Edgeworth, I haven't even cross-examined the witness yet. And quit picking on the clearly distraught. Yeah, that's not so cool, Mr. Edgeworth. A court is where we seek the truth. And the truth is unyielding, even to the truly pitiful. Mr. Edgeworth, I find it distasteful to make a lady cry. It too, Your Honor. So what are we going to do, Nick? The third person Ellen saw on the Vista deck was Soren. Then we have to prove Soren was there at the time of the murder. I don't see any obvious inconsistencies in his testimony, but we have to push forward. I was stabbed by Dumas in the reception hall and I collapsed to the floor. The next thing I saw was Ellen and Dumas on the Vista deck. I knew Ellen was in danger, so I headed for the Vista deck. When I got there, Dumas was already...
Hold it!
Are you absolutely sure, Mr. Sprocket? That by the time you got to the Vista deck, the murder had already been committed? Yes. But the Vista deck is just on the other side of the glass windows in the reception hall. Shouldn't you have been able to get there right away?
Objection!
Mr. White, have you investigated nothing? The only way to investigate is to go to the hold and take the lift. No matter how much one hurries, it will take at least 10 minutes. Well, that's unhelpful. Someone has to have gone there before the murder or my claim won't stand. Do you have any ideas for me, Maya? It's definitely easier to prove that someone did go to the hole than not. I mean, you can't leave anything if you don't go someplace, right? can't leave anything. Wait a minute, I think Maya's onto something here. The lack of a son something actually proves that Son didn't go to the hold. What's the matter? Are you stumped already? No, I'm far from stumped, Mr. Edgeworth. I know for a fact that Mr. Sprocket didn't go to the hold. You and your paper-thin bluff. Mr. Sprocket's blood stain on the left proves he went through the hole. So what possible proof could you have that he did not, in fact, go through there? You want proof? You got it. You can do this, Phoenix. It's got to be proof that Son didn't go through the hold. Well, Mr. White, this proves that Mr. Sprocket didn't go through the hold.
Take that!
As everyone can see from the hold entry record, there's absolutely no mention of Son Sprocket entering the hold. The offense is just that Mr. Sprocket used a different route to get to the Vista deck. Yes, that's all you want, Mr. White. Can you actually prove another route exists? Can I prove the existence of another route to the Vista deck, you ask? I can prove it. Even if it's just a bluff, I have to present something. Anything that can prove the existence of a faster route to the Vista deck. Very well then, Mr. White. So that's how Mr. Sprocket got to the Vista deck. Mr. Sprocket made for the Vista deck through here.
Take that!
Mr. White. Okay, Aaron gets the Vista deck through here, there. What if he just kind of wiggled his way through here? What? That's basically impossible defense. Explanation. Oh, Your Honor, please let me try again. So, it's the door. That's the same thing! Oh, stupid ass logic.
Take that!
Save his blood from danger, Mr. Sprocket. Open the escape hatch and made his way along the outside wall to the Vista deck. Sending the wall there by the door is the same thing! Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket? That would certainly be a much faster route to the Vista deck.
Objection!
I'm disappointed, Mr. Wright. Is that really the best you could muster? That escape hatch is not meant to be used to get from the reception hall to the Vista deck. One step and that's all it would take for Mr. Sprocket to plunge to his death. I have to agree, the defense's claim is really stretching.
Hold it!
I understand how it sounds, Your Honor. But at this point, it's too early to definitely say that he didn't go that way. So that's what you're going with then, I take it? Of course, Your Honor. This is really real life, Mr. Wright, not some cinematic drivel comic book. Do you have some sort of logical explanation to say that would convince us of your claim? I do. Are you sure, Nick? Kind of. Actually, I have nothing. So I just have to wing it somehow. On what do you base your theory that Mr. Sprocket made his way along the outside? My theory that he was able to go along the outside wall despite the dangers based on... To save the bride he loves, the groom risked his life and rushed to her side. Mr. Sprocket was able to make it to the Vista deck despite the danger because of the power of love. The power of love? That love is a source of strength that can help one overcome any obstacle. I think I can relate thanks to my own long, happy marriage. Oh, he actually seems to be buying it.
Objection!
The power of love, you say? That kind of the logical argument is hardly viable in a court of law. Would you agree, Your Honor? I'm afraid not, Mr. Edgeworth. You should never underestimate the power of love. You'll understand one day when you get met, which I won't. Exactly what is so wrong with listening to a maid unwed? I just set him off, Your Honor. Don't mind all this unscientific nonsense. Are you aware, Mr. White, that at the time of the crime, there's a huge propeller turning at full speed between the hatch and the vista deck. The younger person which got inside through the hatch. Could be blown away in an instant. What does your power of love get you now, Mr. Wright? A huge spinning propeller, you say? In that case, I have to admit it does seem impossible. I should have known. You can't make that kind of face in front of your client. Well, sometimes when lawyers have to force their biggest smiles. Right? Right. Like I just saw Mia looking down at me through Maya's eyes. What's wrong, Nick? Why are you gaping at me like a giant sunfish? Thank you, Maya. You're something really important. There it is. There's that fearless smile I was looking for. And give us a mind-blowing theory, just like you always do. Just from my thinking aloud. Instead of wondering how Sean could have moved past that huge propeller, I considered about what would have made it possible for him to do so. Your Honor, this way only makes that ridiculous fish when his back is pressed against the wall. Therefore, please do hurry and give
Hold it!
Mr. Edgeworth, it's still far too early to discount my theory. What are you talking about? The airship's large spinning propellers have already shredded it to pieces. But if we think a little more outside the box, I'm sure we can find a way he could have made it. Stop trying to stall, Mr. White. And show us how it would have been possible, remotely possible, if at all. I must agree with Mr. Edgeworth. Very well, Your Honor. Must have been a way. Must have made it so it could have moved along the wall in spite of the propeller. Now then, Mr. White, what specifically would have made it possible? This is how it would have been possible for Mr. Sprocket to get to the Vista deck. Well, Mr. Sprocket to go along the outside wall in spite of the propellers. The location of the flying chapel at the time of the crime. The location of the flying chapel? Wasn't it flying high in the sky? No, Your Honor. I'm afraid it wasn't. What? Then where was it? At the time of the murder, the airship wasn't flying through the sky, but moored to the ground. What? If the airship wasn't flying, then that means the propellers weren't turning. In which case, Mr. Sprocket could have gone to the Visa deck alongside the outside wall. Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket? I don't remember. At least having something as pen saw. Let's go a little more.
Objection!
Even if the propeller was turning, it would have been far too risky to go that way. Yeah, but Mr. Edgeworth, you're forgetting about the power of love. Yes, the amazing power of love. Not this again. Very well. For the sake of the argument, let's assume the so-called power of love made it possible for Mr. Sprocket to move along the outside of the airship. Can you prove that the airship was tied to the ground as you claim, Mr. White? Well, I don't have any evidence that proves where the airship was at the time. You can prove it, can't you? prove it? I can't say I can. Oh, wait! Did somebody see someone outside a window at the time of the crime? I remember someone saying as much. I have a piece of evidence that shows what was outside the airship. What are you waiting for? This piece of evidence shows what was outside the airship at the time of the crime.
Take that!
This piece of evidence shows what was outside the airship at the time of the murder. What kind of lousy drawing is that? It's a drawing made by Larry Butts. What can you prove of that poor attempt at artistry? They made this drawing before he switched the lanterns. So it must have been right around when the murder was being committed. Now, if I could direct the court's attention here. Is that a pterodactyl? Does that mean that the airship actually went back in time to this Coitus period?
Objection!
We've already proven that time travel is nothing more than a gimmick, did we not? We did, and I have no intention of bringing up that argument again. This drawing shows us an important piece of information. It shows us that the airship was actually moored on the ground. And what makes you so sure? That's easy. All you have to do is consider who made this drawing. Larry. That's right. It was Mr. Butts, and we both know what he's like. He must have seen something else and mistaken it for a pterodactyl. I can't argue with you there. Hold it! Hey, wait just one doggone second here. What kind of moron do you guys take me for? I saw with my own eyes. That pterodactyl flew right by the window, I tell ya! I have the sharp eyes of an artist, don't you believe me? No. Nope. Some friends you guys are. I'm about to judge you, believe me. Why, Your Honor? I'm sorry, but I'm afraid you need to leave this courtroom. Bailiff, if you would. Come on, buddy, let's go. Why does anyone believe me? Don't take it personally, Larry. I know you're just being, well, you. Now then, so you're saying that what Mr. Butts really saw, there's some relation to what was outside the airship at the time of the murder? Yes, Your Honor. At least I think it does. What this pterodactyl really is will prove the airship was anchored by the mooring dock. Mooring? I don't know. But anyway, if it doesn't, my whole argument is a bust.
If you're that confident about it, then please go ahead and tell us what it really was.
Yes, Your Honor. Phoenix, could that pterodactyl have actually been?
Take that!
Please take a good look at the sign.
At the sign? It appears to have been broken and then repaired. What does the sign have to do with the pterodactyl?
Please focus on this part of the sign. The part that broke off and got reattached. What about it? How about if we turn it like this? Oh, that shape! It's a pterodactyl in the drawing! What Mr. Butts actually saw was this chunk as it was being blown through the air by the wind. What? On the day of the murder, there was some heavy winds in the area of the mooring dock. It's hard to imagine that this sign would make it up as high as an airship would fly. That means the flying chopper must have been anchored at the mooring dock that night. Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket?
Objection!
That's more than enough of this power of love nonsense, you pop cultural junkie. Present all the proof you want, but your argument is based far too much in conjecture. Why don't we return to reality now? What do you mean, too much conjecture? The idea supposed to imply that the love doesn't prove the witness went along the wall. True, even now it's no more than a possibility. How do you propose Mr. Sprocket got to the Vista deck, Mr. Edgeworth? Mister? I know stuff because I went over the evidence. Let's take a look at this whole entry record. What about it? I don't see Mr. Sprocket listed on here anywhere. Don't you remember? Yes, it's a very simple kind of argument. Did we? Mr. White, are you going senile already? We talked about Levy Butts using the defendant's key card to enter the hold. Oh, we did talk about that, didn't we? In other words, even if a person's name isn't on the entry record, it's still possible for that person to have entered by using someone else's card. Mr. Sprocket, you entered the hold of Mr. Nicoli, didn't you? I did. What? Why didn't you tell us that in the first place? Pierce is indispensable. I don't want to mention him unnecessarily and risk having him wrongly accused. I couldn't do without him. Mr. Sprocket, I ask that you testify in greater detail about your movements that night. The truth is, I went to the Vista deck with Pierce. That's how my name doesn't appear on the whole entry record. I was badly injured from being stabbed, but I was frantic. By the time we reached the scene, it was all over. Oh, this doesn't help me one bit. Mr. Sprocket, you've concealed information from us time and time again. Who do you think you are, treating this court of law of such irrelevance? That being said, I do appreciate the testimony you gave just now. Thanks to you, we now know why your name doesn't appear on the entry record. There are no more inconsistencies in the witness's testimony. That's Mr. Ezra for you. He never leaves a loose end dangling. You okay, Nick? I wouldn't exactly call the situation okay. Somehow I'll have to coax the information we need for an opening out of him. If I ever can, that is. The truth is, I went to the Vista deck with Pierce.
Hold it!
You didn't mess this because you didn't want Mr. Nicoli to fall under suspicion? Is that because he had something to hide? I assume we're supposed to take up his time before no questions, that's all. Now the company know the household would function smoothly without them. I see. I think that Pierce is absolutely indispensable to the Sprockets. Anyway, get back to your statement. When did you meet up with Mr. Nicoli? I ran up on my way to the Vista deck. I think Pierce and some of my relatives were on another floor. Pierce heard the commotion and came running to my aid. You hear the pandemonium all the way from another floor? Mr. White, would you like to contest my add to the witness's testimony? Yes, please, Your Honor. Very well. Pierce heard the commotion warning. That's why my name doesn't appear on the whole entry record. I was badly injured from being stabbed, but I was frantic.
Hold it!
Speaking of your injury, how are you doing now? The knife wound is deep and continues to throb with pain. Fortunately, my internal organs were spared. One wrong move would have spelled the end for me there. So I've seen you up and about all over the place since the incident. I only found my doctor's orders to perform some daily light exercises. Mr. White, would you like Mr. Sprocket's statement about his condition add to his testimony? Not that it appears explicitly relevant to me. Should I have him add to his testimony? Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to have it added to his testimony. I see. Very well. The knife wound is quite deep and continues to throb with pain.
Objection!